right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. We are going to take a look at Microsoft Dynamics GP and choosing your path forward. So I know with the end of life news, some people were a little bit panicky, kind of trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean for me? When do I have to switch? All that kind of stuff. So we'll kind of talk through that today. Real quick before then, I did just want to let you know that yes, we are recording the session and you'll get a copy of it, if not later this afternoon, first thing tomorrow morning. And I've also got an FAQ resources that will drop in the chat here in a minute. So I'm Katie Erickson. I'm the marketing director here at Boyer and Associates, and this is our agenda. I'm going to talk very briefly a little bit about Boyer, and then I'll hand it over to our presenters. They're going to walk you through the GP lifecycle, GP support, where that is today, kind of your options moving forward. Then we'll take a quick look at Business Central and some of your next steps. So empower your data. This is what Boyer is all about. So we are specifically entrenched in the Microsoft ecosystem, and we believe fairly strongly that you can have better business connected data when you've got your ERP or CRM, Power Platform, all that connected together within that Microsoft ecosystem. And that's where Boyer can really provide that added value for you. A little bit about Boyer as far as the numbers. First of all, we always like to point out that we did get to win a Partner of the Year award a couple of years ago. We'll see if we can get another one this year. We're trying. We have been in the business for more than 30 years, specifically within that Microsoft ecosystem. We started on the ERP side and added CRM and Power Platform as we went along too. We are headquartered in Minnesota, but we have consultants throughout the US and actually even a few in Canada now as of this year. We've got about 550 active clients, and perhaps most relevant to this conversation today is that we are one of the top 5% of Microsoft partners taking clients to the cloud. So when you hear Ron and Darren talk, or when you hear us mention migration, really, truly, this is something that we have done for several of our clients, and we do have a feel for what that process looks like. So what makes Boyer different from all the other partners out there? Well, first of all, like I did mention, we are very Microsoft centric. So we're not going to be talking about those other ERP solutions out there. Yes, there are other options, but we believe that you've got some really great options within the Microsoft ecosystem, and we are going to focus on that. We started with ERP, specifically Dynamics SL in 1994, added GP shortly after that. We've also got NAV, Business Central, which is a cloud ERP solution from Microsoft, as well as Finance and Supply Chain Management, which is the enterprise version of that cloud ERP. As far as integrations, in 2020, we added a CRM practice. We brought in consultants who had had, a decade or two of experience specifically in Dynamics sales side. And so now we can help our clients have sort of that best of both worlds. So you've got your ERP and your CRM. We can help you connect those Microsoft systems and have a very well streamlined system for you. As far as managed services, I did want to point out two specifically. So one of our quick start implementation packages is actually specifically a GP to BC migration package. It uses our foundation plus support, and it's very focused on helping you make that transition and getting you the support afterwards that you need for it. We also have, of course, our general GP support if you choose to still stay on GP a little longer. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to our presenters. Today we have with us Ron Peterson and Darren Valpando. They've both got about 20 years of experience in GP, and they are so skilled in helping you know, okay, here's what GP has for you today, here's what the future is for GP, and here's what other options that you have. So without further ado, Darren, I believe you've got the next step. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Katie, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I want to briefly walk you through the current life cycle of Microsoft Dynamics and the strategic options you have available. Right now, you can either stay on premise, move to the cloud, or transition to Business Central. But the life cycle right now that GP is currently on is the modern life cycle, and that means you have to be on GP 18.1 or higher in order to be receiving product enhancements, features, and updates. Anything older than that is on the fixed life cycle. Support, well, support will be ending December 31st, 2029. And what that means is product support, product enhancements, and all the updates like tax updates, your year-end updates, those will all end December 31st. There's no new sales for any of the GP perpetual licenses after, well, as of now, April 2025 is when that ended, and subscription licenses are only being sold until April 2026. And Boyer will continue to provide GP support the best it can throughout all of this. What are our options? Well, your options, you do have them. Option one is to continue and stay on premise with your current servers. If your organization is happy with GP and prefers to stay on premise, that's still a viable path. You can continue to receive updates and support as long as you're on the modern lifecycle until the end of 2029. And through 2031, you'll be able to receive security updates. Just be aware that long-term innovation will be limited and you'll need to eventually plan for modernization. I've listed there some pros and cons that go with your current situation if you're currently on premise. Option two. The second option here is to move to your existing GP environment to Azure. This gives you the benefits of cloud hosting, like improved security, scalability, and remote access, while keeping your familiar GP system intact. It's a great middle ground for organizations not ready to fully migrate, but looking to modernize their infrastructure. Again, I've listed the pros and cons there of staying and moving to the cloud on GP into Azure. And option three, migrate to Business Central. This is the third option. Microsoft's new flagship cloud ERP, Business Central, designed for modern business. It offers deep integration with Microsoft 365, Power BI, Power Platform, and is continuously updated with new features, including Microsoft Copilot. Migration from GP to Business Central can be done in phases, and Microsoft provides the tools to help with data migration. This is the ideal path for organizations looking to future-proof their ERP, reduce costs, and take advantage of the latest cloud innovations. Dynamics GP is still supported, but the future is clearly in the cloud. Whether you stay on-premise or move GP to Azure or migrate to Business Central, the key is to align your ERP strategy with your business goals. And if you'd like our help with that, well, we'd like to help you with evaluating your options or planning your roadmap. Boyer's here to support you every step of the way. And with that, Ron, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, welcome. And again, we're very glad you've joined us here today. You know, I'm an old GP guy, but I'm going to show you a little bit about Business Central. You know, I've had a number of customers say to me as they're thinking about it, you know, my needs are pretty simple. You know, why migrate to BC? Well, Microsoft is taking all that they have learned about accounting based systems, and they've really optimized the experience in Business Central or in BC. And I'd like to maybe show you just a few slides here or shots of some of the BC screens and talk through it so you can have a little bit more of a feeling for what I mean by kind of optimizing that experience. So let's take a look. So as you log in to BC, this is essentially your what they call the role center. And depending upon what role you're assigned within BC, in this case, I'm the business manager. It can change some of your menu options. Up on the top, there will be several menu options for finance, cash management, sales, purchasing, etc. Could be inventory, some of those other things. But users can modify this easily by creating bookmarks to certain screens. Here I've got some for customers, vendors, setup of items, maybe the setup of a chart of accounts. Over here in this actions area, I've added some of the screens that you could link to and get to very quickly for doing a sales invoice or maybe a purchase order, things of that nature. And again, this is user by user, depending on the security set up within your organization. You're able to kind of modify your, I'll call it homepage, but it's officially titled Role Center. In addition, under the activities and down below, you can see there's a number of cues or tiles that give you information based upon your role. And again, very customizable to some of the information that may be helpful for you. For example, if you're managing uh, outstanding new purchase orders and purchases within your system, you may be looking at the outgoing purchase invoices tab. See 3 of them, double click on that or click on it, and it'll take you right to those, a list of those items within the system. And again, depending on your role, you can kind of add in these various cues for information that's important to you. In addition, if you had a BI type license, you would also have access to a lot of Microsoft's pre-published reports, graphs, KPIs, things like this that you could bring right in. It's looking at your data, analyzing it. In this case, it's some of the financial overview type things. You can click on any particular area and it drills you right back to the data that's associated with it. And of course, you could always create new reports and graphs and things like that that are more specific to your organization also. But this is a great starting point. Here's also some that are sales related up here on the top, along with links to get to even more information that's important for your organization. Now back to the Role Center up on here. If I were to click into Chart of Accounts, because this is one area that is quite different than GP. Now, what you're seeing here is a list screen. So it's a list of your chart of accounts. This is very, very different than what you're going to see in Dynamics GP, which would be, oh, hey, I'm going to edit or do something to one of my chart of accounts. You hit that magnifying glass to look it up. You're seeing just a small list that includes the account number and the name of which you could select. But in this case, it's giving you a long list. In addition to the main account number and the account name, you can modify this to add in to show balances in the accounts, transactions during the current month. And in fact, this screen is much almost like a smart list type thing that you'd have to go separately over to. Well, they built that smart list type functionality into virtually all of their list screens. You have the ability to do filters on this, do lookups. You'll be able to save those various lookups. Maybe you want to hide any blocked accounts or only showing your posting accounts. I say posting accounts because on here, of course, you can have unit type of accounts, but you can also have accounts that have totalers on there. So you can see total cash, cash and bank balances. You can also have headers in here to help really display your accounts for you in a very logical, organized type way. Also, if on a particular account you have any notes, they'd be showing over in the right-hand side with the date and who did it. And then you could have multiple people possibly making notes. You don't have to click into a separate area to see that. It's all sort of optimized in a screen right there for you. Let's see. Okay, so if I click on that petty cash area, it does take me into that account. showing, what all the various setups are, or allows me to, at this point, create a new account if we need to in this area. And again, it's got the area to the right side for notes and the like there. One thing I'll mention to you is that this list is really showing you just your main hosting account numbers, as you can see here on the left side on that list. Very, very different than what you're going to be seeing with GP, particularly, where GP you've got all your segments included in that account number. So if you're also showing things like departments or locations, and that's part of it, that's broken off into a separate area for BC. So in this case, you can just see and focus on your main account segment. And if you need to make changes or update things, you've got links, and you'll see these all throughout the system right up here in the corner to be able to export that over to SharePoint or to Excel very easily. You can make some changes there and upload that right back into BC. Now, I had mentioned account segments as they are in GP. You might have 2, 3, 4 segments to your or more to your chart of accounts. BC, or Business Central, handles that very differently. They what they will have is these what are called right up here dimensions, and you can have multiple dimensions. Like for the one that's highlighted here is department. So this could be, and you can see customer group, business group, maybe a sales campaign, things of that nature, salespeople. And it's a huge difference from what's in GP. You can still capture all the information that you were doing in GP, but this makes it worlds simpler and more powerful. Because if you started going along, and we can see we've got departments, salespeople, things like that. If we wanted to add a new location or a new segment, for example, like location, which isn't in here, it takes moments to set up a new one. Within GP, if you're trying to add a new segment to all your chart of accounts, that has to be added to every single account within your system, and you have to make sure you've got the ability to maximize and add those extra segments. It's a really big task. Very, very easy in here. Together with, when I click on that department task, it'll open a screen allowing me to set up new departmental values. Now, in the various codes that would be for that, in this case, dimension of department. The other thing that BC does is you can have rules associated with these dimensions. So you could have maybe some dimensions only apply to your P&L accounts. Others may only apply to your expense accounts, meaning you don't have to fill out all your dimensions all the time, particularly if you're posting to a balance sheet account and you got some dimensions that only apply to your P&L or income statement accounts. That's fine. You don't have to fill out that information there, so it wouldn't be required. You can also create in those rules saying that certain dimensions just don't, not only do they not apply, but you can't even enter some of that posting information into that department and the like. So, like, for example, a rent account, that may always go to an admin type of department. Well, if it is always doing it, you can create that rule, and then it automatically fills in whenever you're selecting the rent account, the admin department automatically will fill in. So it helps to reduce errors. It helps speed the entry of transactions, etc. And some dimensions can be flagged as required, others possibly as optional. Um, with this concept of kind of separating these dimensions and having those as an extension to your chart of accounts shrinks down dramatically because what you're primarily managing is those GL account, that main posting GL account. Here's a transaction entry type of screen where we've got a couple of lines where it's showing things like, of course, your date, the GL account number, also the debits and credits. But then in this case, the consulting services really only apply to two departments. So it's only showing two here, the department and a customer type group. So in any the cash account doesn't require any departmental coding uh, for this particular company. The other thing that's very unique to, or very foreign to GP, that BC will allow you to do is it will allow you to post from the GL back into subledgers. From a GP standpoint, everything had to go into, or the information, if it was subledger related, had to go into the subledger. It was a one-way street down to the GL. If you happen to hit a account in the GL that was related to a subsidiary ledger, it would throw you out of balance. BC has the ability to go back or upstream into some of those subsidiary ledgers also. So very, very powerful from that perspective. Here's a screen just showing all the journal entries hitting that petty cash account. Again, you can put filters on, you can sort that whole smart list type functionality into every kind of list screen that they have. Being able to, export some of the information. They've recently added, and Microsoft is continuing to add features and functionality a lot throughout the year. They've recently added this analysis view kind of up here under where I'm pointing next to the search. Clicking on that opens another screen for that account where you can design how you want that information showing on the screen, and it gives you the ability right within BC to create pivot tables to analyze some of that information. So lots and lots of capabilities that are just pushing in to the raw BC system. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about doing bank reconciliations, which is a bit more of an enhancement, again, over what you can do with GP, because there's all kinds of APIs and things that are published by Microsoft out to the business community and to developers. Banks and stuff are able to look on and get on board with working with BC directly. So there are many, many banks, not all of them yet, but many, many banks where you can link directly from BC into your account securely at the bank. And when you're doing a bank reconciliation, you can pull those transactions in and use AI, or in this case, Copilot, to help you with that reconciliation to make that easier. So another example where they're sort of optimizing that experience. So in this case, as you go into bank reconciliations, you're able to select a checkbook, say that you're going to do a reconcile. If you're not linked to the bank, you can still download a file and go do the generate from there. It'll go through, it'll auto match as many lines as it can based upon dates and amounts, but Copilot can jump in then too and match some of the other ones that are harder to match. In this case, Copilot found a match for this one amount that's on the bank statement, but could not find a direct match um, on the BC side. And it was because there were multiple items. In this case, there were two items were combined together for that related to a deposit and hit the amount. So a simple match couldn't be done, but Copilot's pretty smart. It could sort through the information and find the remaining items that haven't been already reconciled, found that there's two of them that add up to that amount and did it for you. You could, click in, drill in, look at it a little bit. If it's approved and looks right, you can say keep it, and your reconciliation is almost done. It's showing what came from the bank lines, I'm sorry, the bank statement lines, and then your bank account stuff within BC on the right. And there were a couple of items that still hadn't reconciled because we hadn't received the information yet. And it happened to be some bank fees and transfer fees for wires that had gone on. So a total of $260 that hadn't been reconciled yet. From here, you're able to easily see that, easily go through, make journal entries for that particular information. And because we've got AI and Copilot kind of working with us, it's learning over time that, bank fees always get posted to this particular account. Transfers or wires going to maybe another expense account. And it helps make that easier for you again in the future as you're going forward, because it'll kind of remember that and allows you to review and approve. So let's see here. Yeah, that is the primary stuff I was going to go through. I'm just looking to see if there was anything else here in my notes. And with that, I'm going to put it back over to Katie. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron and Darren. I did want to mention too, in case you weren't aware, Darren is actually very active in the GP user groups as well. So he's always kind of got that latest and greatest news. If you are ever looking for more details on what does all the life cycle stuff really mean, he's your guy. And Ron, that was awesome to just kind of see BC from a GP perspective. I mean, I've seen BC demos, but just to kind of see it through, okay, how does it compare to GP, and where are those differences, and where is it that there might be some benefits? So we just got a couple minutes left. So really quickly, what is next, right? So you, first of all, need to decide what you want to do. So as you've noticed from this presentation, yes, you can still stay on GP. Your support may be a little limited, but it's not non-existent. You can move your system to the cloud with Azure. Again, that's still GP, so still some limitations there. Keep that in mind. And you can, of course, as we mentioned, explore a migration to Business Central. And I did want to mention with that, we know that it's not necessarily the perfect solution for everyone and not the perfect timing for everyone, but you got to take a look at it and just see, where does it fit? Where might I need to add a little bit of something? Because there's always those ISVs that you can add as well. So is it time to move to the cloud? Again, that's going to vary a little bit depending on your particular system. If you just spent, thousands of dollars on new hardware, you might want to wait just a little bit. But if you're noticing some of these issues that you see here on the screen, if you're frustrated with siloed systems and then you've got duplicate data because you've got the same data in multiple systems and they're not talking to each other, and that's messing with your reporting, you've got old reports, bad reports, you're frustrated with manual processes, or you've got security issues, those are all excellent signs that it might be time to consider a migration. And in case you weren't aware, we have done several of those. We have actually migrated at least 65 of our own clients. And I did put one of those stories in the chat there as well. And I also wanted to mention the Microsoft funds. So most of you are probably on GP already, in which case you may have even gotten emails from Microsoft mentioning a couple different programs. One they reference often is the AIM assessment. That's kind of a one-time payment that'll help you take a look at whether or not Business Central is a good fit for your organization. There's the Bridge to Cloud, which that one's been around for a few years now. And that's that discount on the cloud licenses to help you kind of make that transition a little easier. There's some other programs as well, but basically Boyer is well versed in what programs are available. We can check and see what your eligibility is, and we'll make sure that we get you the most the best options possible. Last but not least, I did want to mention our own migration assessment. So taking the cue from Microsoft, we actually use the AIM assessment funds for our migration process. And this just kind of gives you an outline of what we're going to look at. So when we do our assessment, you know, if you've got really simple operations, it might be just a couple hours for us to bring you back with a recommendation. If you've got more complex systems, obviously it's going to take longer. But we're going to take a quick look at all of your systems and help you kind of identify what are some of those problem areas or the complexities that might make your migration process a little bit longer, a little bit different, a little more complex. What are the challenges and risks you have? And also, what are the benefits? And most importantly, based on all that, what do we suggest as our experienced consultants from both GP and BC? What do we think is the best recommendation for your organization specifically? So with that, that is the end of our presentation. If you guys want any more information, if you're looking for GP support and you just want to see what support options we have available, we do have that tiered support. And of course, if you are interested in an assessment, please do let us know. We are super happy to help you with that in either case. I hope that you guys have some great options moving forward for GP, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.